was a koan. Does anybody know what a koan is? The Zen tradition. Okay. So koan's kind of like an unanswerable riddle to get you out of your discriminating mind, get you to just let go of logical thought. And this is kind of a koan and kind of not, but it's a famous one. So Joshu was a monk, and Nansen was his teacher, or a teacher within the temple. And he has a question. He wants to know from his teacher. He goes, what's the way? Tell me what I got to do. Okay? Do we ever get that way? Okay? Especially as Americans, I got to do something. I can fix this. Give me a formula. Give me a YouTube video. Give me a book. I got to fix this. I got to figure this out. I got to fix it. And we're all about fixing things. Okay? We're all about fixing ourselves, especially. No, actually, we're all about fixing other people before we fix ourselves. Because they're the ones who are screwing me up, and I just fix them, and everything will be great with me. Duh. Okay. So, Joshu's kind of asking that kind of question, except 1,000 years ago. He's going, what am I supposed to do? What's the way? What is the way? And Nansen asks him, or says to him, everyday life is the way. Everyday life is the way. So, can you imagine, poor Joshu? Great. That's what you give me? That's the answer? Everyday life? Well, okay, everyday life. Well, can I study it? Okay. Isn't that kind of the same thing? Trying to figure it out? And that's like academic. Okay? There's all kinds of ways to know about Buddhism. You can read all kinds of books that know about Buddhism. Right? But that's not what we're talking about here. It's a different kind of knowledge. Okay? It's not being able to recite the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path. It's not that kind of knowledge. So he says, can you study it? And his teacher looks at him, and I can just see him kind of a little mischievous smile. And he says, if you try to study it, you will be far away from it. Okay? If you try to study it, you'll be far away from it. What do you think he's telling Joshua? Yeah, exactly. Yep. Okay, good. Yeah. Yeah. So, if I try to study it, studying the way is not the way. Does that make sense? It's intellectual knowledge. You're just gaining more information. Okay? So Joshu says, okay then. I can't study it, so what do? I don't study it? The teacher looks at him and says, if you don't study it, then you are far away from it. So in a sense, the answer is interesting. Koans are generally, the question is the koan. In this one, almost the answer is the koan of the riddle.
Hey teacher, how can I be the best martial artist? How long will it take me? And he says 10 years. And he says, what if I study twice as hard? 20 years. What if I study even get everything to it? 30 years. He said, okay teacher, why every time I ask and I say I'll give more effort every time, it takes me twice as long? He said, well, if you only have one eye on the road and one eye on the goal, how can you possibly get there?
So, Yume Kubose Sensei goes on to talk about Buddhism is everyday life. It's just short, so just want to read it so you can hear what he wrote. When the teacher was asked, what is Buddhism? He answered, everyday life. This is one of the many ways to point out the essence of Buddhism. In Buddhism, we talk about the way or path. In Chinese, it's called the Tao. In Japanese, Do is the path, the way we live each day. What is the path? What kind of path do you walk? We make many pretensions and we represent things as we want them to be. We do not see things as they are. We do not understand life as it is. Buddhism is the most natural way of life, where every little thing we do is the way. And then there's more, which I'll get to. And I think one of the reasons why I bring this up is that I think my own personal experience within religion, in general, spirituality, religious activity takes place somewhere. Okay? Takes place in a temple. Takes place in a church. And how many of you growing up, or even to this day, you go to church, you hear a sermon, and everybody talks about love and compassion, you get in a parking lot, and people are cussing each other out. Okay? Or when you were young, and you were being taught how to live, and the moral, ethical life, and everybody was great in church. I remember my upbringing, peace be with you, and everybody's smiling at the pews, and we walk outside, and it was socially stratified by money and class and attitude. And I felt when I would go into the sacred place where religion was practiced, that I was a part of something. And once I left that religious place, I felt like I was not a part of something, that I was excluded, that somehow religion took place there. So then how in the hell do you get the whole world inside there? And I think it's actually inverted, backwards. Okay? I think a lot of the challenge we have with the word religion has little to do with the word and more to do with our experience of an impotent definition of the word. Right? I think it's beautiful how he starts, both Nansen and Gyome Sensei start talking about it being in everyday life. Everything you do becomes practice. He goes on to say, without pretension or artificiality. He's talking about us going forth without pretension or artificiality. It's about being our authentic selves, having the courage to be who we are, the courage to be screwed up and not knowing the answer, or being confused, or being manic, or being whatever it is we are, and finding a way to embrace that. Each path is uniquely an individual's own. Right? Each way is different, and yet there is a great way that everyone walks. It is the same path, but different to each individual. It can be different to understand the universal way is one's own way. This is the difference between the true way and the not true way. Just as freedom is different from lawlessness, freedom is always one with the law. Freedom exists when the law is lived. What this means is that one must find the way deep inside oneself. Yet at the same time, the way doesn't exist out there. Outside and inside become identical. The universal and the particular one. You live your own life as there is no pre-established pattern. You live your own life as if though there is no pre-established pattern. Yet your unique pattern forms the same way the universe forms. This is life's path. It is the flower blooming, the wind blowing. You live, I live. When you live the universal way, you are life expressing itself everywhere. It is such a tremendous, noble life that you cannot help being inspired. Life is art when lived this way. Art means it is absolute. There is creativity in life. Imitation has no value. Art must be original and unique. The art of haiku in Japanese poetry is the Buddhist life expressed in poetic form. Each moment in life is a poem in itself. And you say you're not poets. When each action is an expression of life itself, there is a beauty and a fulfillment. This is the universal path. It is the way that Nansen points out when he says Buddhism is everyday life. Response.
I really like this teaching because I struggle with combining like my spiritual side with my everyday humdrum job, whatever. And it's good to do it with you said you need to do a mission thinking, you know, and it helps me because, you know, I want to live my life to the fullest and get every little thing out of it and do all this stuff. I have bills to pay and shit to climb out of. And, so it's awesome when I can say, this right here, this is living life to the fullest. I have a hot, warm, amazing shower. I'm blessed to have done it. I go to a job that for many years, whatever, I don't do right here, but I have formed some amazing connections there, and it's awesome and easy, and I get paid really well for doing it. And, you know, it's just those little day-to-day things that is living. And so I really enjoy this teaching that, you know, you can bring love and compassion and amazement into every activity. My friends always make fun of me because I go out and go, this sky is so blue, and they're like, no. I'm like, look at it! Like, you know, and my kids are like, I'm working, and I'm like, this food is so, like, I was eating this food the other day, and I was like, oh my God, bro. And it's just, those are the moments. That's it. It's all we got.
Anything to do is a choice, and to find secretness in that instead of just trying to find the answer at the end of the road.
One was the religion thing. My favorite definition of religion, I want to go back to the creator. This means to tie back to God or creator or source. It really has nothing specific to a some organized thing, worship, whatever, that way. And the other thing is, growing up LDS, I had learned through the reading that there was culture in America that they would practice their religion one day a week for that period of time, that block period of time that they practice it, and then when they're focused and saying how one of the only things about this and that. And after they got down and speak of it again for the rest of it, and like, I'm really hoping it's not that way. I'm hoping I'm everywhere. Do the way, and
To the extent
I'm and I have taught for about 10 years, and I'm really getting bored of just explaining the same concept over and over. And then I discovered an educator named Dr. Dharma, who really developed like spirituality. Anyway, it just changed everything for me. Now it's like teaching is just the backdrop for me to connect and love these things. I mean, we have an excuse to come together, but that's really the backdrop. And then there's another author, Julie Locke, who wrote Women, Food, and God. And my relationship with food changed a lot when I read that book because it brought spirituality into it.
instead of just the nutrition. And so pretty much every aspect, there's no place that's off limits. It's all spirit. It's all sacred space. So I'm grateful for these authors that pointed out.
Discussion today is so relevant to my life right now. It's funny, so on Friday I went and saw my therapist and I was telling her, I'm like, you know, all my hobbies, I feel like I have to be doing something bigger, right? Like, whether it's my business doing research or marketing on my downtime, anything like that, I feel like doing something, you know? And so last weekend I like bought a puzzle and sat at home for 2 days and was like, did that puzzle, and I felt like today's the first time I was living my life that was doing something that for me. And like, I hadn't really known meaning or like any reward for anyone else or for myself, but within that was so the story is kind of really sitting at home and
There is a story of Guillaume Cabosse, his wife. Minnie was a teenager. And it was like back in the 70s or the 80s, and the Chicago Times were there, and they were reporting on the tea ceremony. So, oh, that's really pretty, that's really beautiful, but what's the purpose of it? Because you can just look at it. And I think the thing she came up with was purposeless purpose. And I think one of the challenges we have is that it always has to have some objective purpose for it to have meaning. You know, it has to have some objective outcome. And usually it means making money or being a good person by my good deeds. Okay? Instead of just doing it for the love of doing it. I mean, if you think about the great artists, the great composers, poets, painters, dancers, why are they great? For them, it's not work. It's just what they do. It's play. It's life itself. Okay? So when you start thinking about, so how do I take this? How do I take the teachings of the Buddha and make them more than my cushion at home, my fancy little altar, which has the candle right here, the incense over here, the bell here. Oh, I don't have the incense, I can't meditate. Never happened. So how do we take it off the cushion? How do we make it a part of our everyday life? So I put together just a few things that we can do each day. Five daily practices that we can do. I like this quote. Spiritual practice is only what you're doing right now. Spiritual practice is only what you're doing right now. It's taking away that dichotomous look at this is my spiritual life and this is my real life. Okay? And anyways, how delusional is that? Mm-hmm. This is my real life, this is my work life. Or this is my everyday life that I'm not awake yet. They're both your real life. So, Tibetan children, she's in the Theravada tradition. She says, start your day. Start your day as a spiritual practice. And she says, this is how we can start our day as a spiritual practice. When we first wake up, before getting out of bed, before thinking about what we will eat for breakfast, or which obnoxious jerk we'll see at the office, we can start the day by thinking, today, as much as possible, I won't harm anybody. Today, as much as possible, I'm going to try to be of service and benefit to others. Today, I want to do all actions so that all living beings can attain the long-term happiness of life. First thing. So I look at my habitual pattern. What's the first thing you do when you wake up? I was about to say, most of us, it's a black dot. Okay? One of the first things I do is I look at the news. News junkie. And I would say, why the hell am I doing this? Why am I starting my day off with such negativity and conflict? Okay. Now, I'm not reading it to apply philosophic principles to the people of Canada. And I open the news to send memo to the people in the news. And I go, no way! So instead, I should be waking up today as much as possible. Today as much as possible. I won't harm anyone. Or it can be whatever you want to come up with. It doesn't have to be that. Today I want to manifest kindness. And what better way to do that than gratitude? Nothing will set your day on how you're able to go to work, open-hearted with kindness to other players. So that's the first thing. The second thing you can do is cultivate what a lot of people call the attitude of gratitude. And you can vow to cultivate gratitude by carrying a thank you in your heart. About a month or two ago, we did a sangha on gratitude, and we played Natalie Merchant's Thank You song. And we danced to it. It was great. It was awesome. But thank you can be a chant. And thank you. So there's the gratitude that's about the past, where you think about all the wonderful things that have gone on and how lucky you are. And there's the gratitude in the moment. And I think the gratitude in the moment is really what we're talking about cultivating. Because the gratitude in the moment is all about awareness in the moment. Okay? It's when you're driving in the rain to work, and everybody's driving crazy, but as you're driving up, you notice how the clouds on Mount Olympus are so beautiful, that white cloud moving, and how the air is clean, and I can breathe. You see the reflection of the taillights on the road in front of you. And everything slows down, and now you're grateful instead of complaining about the traffic and the rain, and now nobody gets out to drive, nobody uses their blinkers. It's a matter of awareness. Okay? And that's everyday life. This is applying the teaching of awareness to everyday life. Diome Sensei taught the kids at the Chicago Temple that all the shoes would be out on the floor. He goes, okay, everybody, thank your shoes. And I was just back there and I took a picture of everybody's shoes. So when you walk out there, especially the ones in the back and the first ones out there, bow to everybody's shoes. Because if you ever gone without shoes, especially on a hot summer day, I grew up in Southern California. I've had burnt feet more than once. Okay? Can you imagine? Thanking the small, seemingly insignificant things in our lives can be really transformative. The Muslims have a thing called abad, I believe, A-B-D, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's a practice of gratitude where you thank everything. You thank your chair, your cushion, thank you for holding me up, thank you, cup, for holding my water that I'm about to drink, thank you, fork, for making it easier for me to eat it, thank you, plate, for holding my food, thank you, table, for holding my plate, for holding up my food, thank you, pillow that I'm laying on, thank you, shoes, thank you, jacket, keeping me warm. When we start cultivating this kind of awareness, things can be transformative. How often have you thanked the beating of your heart? What happens when it stops beating? Dawn?
Yeah, quite often.
You know, how many here suffer from COPD, asthma, or know somebody who does? Okay? You do not take breathing for granted. And the rest of us do. We do it every day, thousands and thousands of times. Reverend Yonezawa writes, our ability to inhale and exhale are not in our own power. Therefore, we are always encountering the inconceivable. Our ability to inhale and exhale are not in our own power. Therefore, we are always encountering the inconceivable. Usually we save that word for the great distances in outer space. Inconceivable. Or we think about geological time. Wow, that's just inconceivable. Wow. There was a lake here? When? Inconceivable. We don't usually apply that, though, to taking a breath. The mystery and magic. Breathing. Rarely do we think of a simple act of inhalation and exhalation in such a way. Many of us take breathing for granted. So, becoming aware of the simple things that support us, from roads to stoplights, windows and beds, to the more intimate of our lives, opens us up to start to see the wondrous things that sustain us every day, and how not alone we are, but interdependent and part of a broader world. From our beating heart within our breasts to the dirt beneath our feet, from the warmth of the sun, we come to realize that the most insignificant things, the most everyday things, can become wondrous. The next practice is to meditate a little bit every day. Now, I know most of us are busy. Some of us are keen meditators. Some of us are not. But meditate a little bit every day, or reflect a little bit every day. Start your day by using the tools to simply bring your mind back to awareness. We talked earlier about most of us drive. You can use the stoplight as your tool. The yellow light and the red light are your tools for mindfulness practice. Instead of the yellow light being what it means for most of us, go faster, change it to slow down, take a breath, and stop. Okay? How many stoplights do we get stopped at a day? Each one can be a moment for us to center ourselves again in our breath. At Bright Dawn, we teach the 3 treasures breathing. Okay? First deep breath in, and we go out, we go, Buddha. Second one, Dharma. Last one, Sangha. You can do that stoplight, every stoplight. Bring your breath back and your mindfulness back to the teachings of the Buddha. You can turn off the radio and simply become aware of the sensations of your body. Become aware, this is one I always struggle with, become aware that there are other human beings just like you driving in the cars. That the cars are not these strange, faceless monsters trying to screw you over as you drive to work. Okay? Another good tool, a little bell. Something as simple as a little bell. Put in your pocket. It's your mindfulness bell. It doesn't have to be this big, it's a little bit. But a smaller one. Put it in your pocket. Every time you reach in your pocket, get your keys, get some change, pull out gum. You go, oh, my bell, yeah. And right there, stop and take a breath. Start there. Everyday life. Everyday moments. Now, if you want to move into more formal silent meditation, start with 1 minute. Okay? 1 minute. Well, I need to sit for 20 minutes for it to be of any value if I ever want to get to awakening. What's 1 minute? 1 minute is 1 minute more than you're doing it now. Okay? And 1 minute leads to 2 minutes. 2 minutes leads to 3 minutes. Okay? It slows you down. Opens you up. Helps you to be more aware of what's going on. You can use tools like an insight timer. Anything that will help.
So, with all these teachings and what I've always been never heard any of it, but I have had one attack of the first year, and recently, I also didn't have experience being awake in the moment. So even if it's little things that you look at, it's really finding a chance that really makes sense to you, can slow everything down. So it's something quality.
Anything that brings you that moment. And the difference between the first one, there's no time measurement. You're just being aware in the moment. You're using stoplights. You're using tools to be aware. In Chicago, it's kind of interesting. In Chicago, one of the companies that has all the direction signs is Amida Construction. So in Chicago, there you go. Oh, Amida Buddha. Hey, there it is, right there. Cool. But whatever it takes, whatever works. But this is moving to more structured, more of a time section. A lot of meditation teachers will tell you when you first start meditating, 5 minutes a day. 5 minutes, just 5 minutes. Not 10, not 20, just 5 minutes. Okay? Just 5 minutes. Just start where you can in the midst of your day. Lastly, look for opportunities to apply what you're learning, to apply what you're becoming. At school, at home, these are great places to apply right speech. You know, talk about all of a sudden we seem to be gossiping more now. We're not usually gossiping. This one guy said, I'm going to go 1 week and I'm going to practice right speech. And part of right speech is not speaking about others when they're not present. And he said, I hardly spoke for a week. Because I'm always gossiping. I'm always gossiping. Or how about right speech with your children? Practicing noble silence. Or with your partner. Or your lover. When we get hurt or frustrated or something they do waters the seeds of fear in us or the seeds of anger, and we want to respond, how about we just practice noble silence? Yeah.
Sorry, I just want to add one thing that I think practicing with right speech is less complaining. You know, we all suffer, we all have our problems, but I found that I don't suffer probably. Surprising. But, you know, just less complaining. Whatever's going on, you're going through, just stop complaining and figure out what your life.
Yeah. The verbalization, that's what the verbalization of gratitude is important, and the refraining from verbalization of discontent. Yeah, that's really good.
It's so easy.
Yeah. We can practice letting go. Every day we can practice letting go. One of the things we can let go of is letting go of the story we have, not only about ourselves, but about other people. Letting go of the tyranny of expectations of how someone else is supposed to act or should act, or I need them to act to make everything better. And we want to be able to honor their own unrepeatable and utterly unique existence. I think that's what Never Disparaging Bodhisattva is doing when he says, I would never despise or disparage what they do. Another thing you can do in your everyday life, practicing the way, is deep listening. Our world, our country, is starving to be listened to. All the polarity, all the good and the bad and the fighting and the yelling and the screaming and the acting out has its roots in never being heard, not being listened to. And we can give that. We can give that to anybody in our sphere. It could be somebody in line in the grocery store, or that person on the bus who's just a little weird and wants to talk our ear off, and usually we just say, I'm going to stay on my Kindle. You put it down and you go, wow, you too can be a Buddhist someday. I want to hear what you have to say. We also can practice acceptance while driving and understanding that the flow of traffic has a myriad of causes and conditions, and there's this natural ebb and flow of things, and it's got nothing to do with you personally. Okay? Accept it. Accept the reality of that fact. One of the most profound teachings I think I apply every day that Gyome Sensei taught is acceptance is transcendence. That acceptance is a powerful tool for liberation. Right? And let's put it down to the mundane, everyday thing of driving. Accept the natural ebb and flow of traffic. It's traffic. It ebbs and flows. How about somebody you're having a hard time with at work? I have a whole bunch of people at work. Some days, wow, I'm on LinkedIn looking for a new job. Okay? But we can practice metta. We can find that person at work who's frustrating us. We can find that thing that's driving us crazy at work and switch it and apply loving kindness meditation to that. We can also be open in exploring our own authenticity. In our awareness practice, to be able to say, I have no idea. I am so lost. And to just be there. Be okay with it. All of these practices take place and are interwoven in our everyday experience. Buddhism is not realized simply on a cushion or in your bedroom or on retreat, but it is by bumping up against each other like rocks in a rock polisher. It's the dynamic interaction and engagement with everyday life that polishes us. It's what makes us smooth. I like to say that it takes seeing the other and then becoming the other that leads us to awakening. Our practice takes place amongst the perceived other. I also like to think it takes a Sangha to make a Buddha or to uncover a Buddha. May together we practice these simple things on an everyday basis so that we too can uncover the Buddha within ourselves. Namo Amida Butsu. Let's turn to the last page, or next to the last page in our book. Page 24. Practicing the way of oneness gives rise to benefits without end. May all beings live happily, free from anger, disappointment, and shame, free from delusion, isolation, and pain. May all share in the blessing of any good that we have done. May the sound of this bell ring throughout the universe, awakening all beings to joy and equanimity.
May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings awaken to the light of Amida Buddha. May all beings be free. Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu. Your donations are appreciated, and as my teacher says, and as I say, have a beautiful Sunday!
Thanks for letting me talk. I just, that's my first time, so it's nice being there. Oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's a good feeling.
Oh, yeah. like to